Have you ever wondered why Left 4 Dead 2 still feels fresh even after all these years? The secret lies in its groundbreaking AI director. Most co-op games today are flashy, explosive, and predictable, but Left 4 Dead 2, it watches you, it adapts to you, and it punishes you for getting comfortable. It doesn't just spawn zombies, it directs a horror movie around you in real time. This is the story of the AI director, and why nearly 15 years later, no one's managed to top it. The AI director, which I'll be referring to mainly as the director throughout the video, is an advanced system that dynamically adjusts the game's pacing, enemy spawns, and item placements based on a player's performance and behavior. In the game, the director acts as an invisible game master. It controls everything about the game. It monitors every player's health, stress level, movement, and the decisions that they make throughout the match. Then it dynamically adjusts the intensity. If your team's cruising, boom, you got a tank. If you're low on health, it might hold back the horde for now. The director's goal was to set the emotional pacing throughout the match, not just difficulty. They wanted to create these moments of tension, panic, relief. It wasn't just all about fighting zombies. It was about surviving a dynamic, cinematic experience that felt unique every single game. Left 4 Dead 2, Valve upgraded the system. They added dynamic weather conditions, pathing changes, random item placements to keep all players from getting comfortable. The environmental changes often altered the level layouts and lighting to keep players on their toes. It wanted to encourage you to not get comfortable with learning the layouts of the map because you weren't going to be able to. Left 4 Dead encouraged players to take riskier paths by offering better loot and strategic advantages for taking those off the beaten paths. The team at Valve emphasized creating a system that adapts not just to player skill, but also to their emotional state, ensuring a balanced and engaging experience for everyone playing. One of my favorite aspects about Left 4 Dead 2 is the game's music design and how dynamic it is. They developed a music director alongside their AI director that would control what you heard throughout each playthrough.
We took several steps to keep the music interesting enough that the players would be inclined to keep it on as they play. We keep it changing so it won't become tedious.
How many times in the past have you turned off a game's music because you've loaded up the game immediately and the music has just been horrible?
To this end, we created a music director that runs alongside the AI director, tracking the player's experience rather than their emotional state. We keep the music appropriate to each player's situation and highly personalized. The music engine in Left 4 Dead has a complete client-side multi-track system per player that is completely unique to that player and can even be monitored by the spectators. Since some of the fun of Left 4 Dead is watching your friends when you're dead, we thought it was important to hear their personal soundtrack as well. This feature is unique to Left 4 Dead.
That's why Left 4 Dead 2's music isn't just background noise, it's emotional warfare. Each special infected has their own musical cue, instantly recognizable and immediately stressful. Hear that deep, pounding drum line? You know there's a tank nearby. That eerie wail in the distance? A witch is waiting for you. Even before you see danger, the music is already making you sweat. It's building up that tension. Valve's composer, Mike Morosky, hopefully I said that right, didn't write static tracks. He wrote modular reactive pieces that evolve based on the gameplay, just like the AI director. If your squad is doing well, the soundtrack stays low. But if things start to spiral out of control, the tempo spikes, dissonance creeps in, you start to panic, your heart rate starts to increase, and the game hasn't even thrown the horde yet. This isn't just music. It's another tool the Valve team used to build tension. Release it, then snap it right back together when you least expect it. And that's why Left 4 Dead 2 doesn't just play better, It sounds better than most games today. What really made Left 4 Dead 2 special in hindsight is how effortlessly it onboarded new players. You didn't need a tutorial, you didn't need a guide, you just played, and somehow you got it. That's because everything was designed to communicate through gameplay. The silhouette of a special infected was distinct. The sound they made was instantly recognizable. The way they behaved, you'd learn that by surviving them once. These are cues you don't need to be told, you feel them, and that's what makes Left 4 Dead 2's design so timeless. Even outside of the combat, the way the levels are set up with smart lighting, the signage, and the subtle environmental design, you rarely get lost because the game quietly nudges you in the right direction without a blinking arrow or a go here prompt. In an era where games drown new players in tutorials, not allowing them to physically play the game without holding your hand, Left 4 Dead 2 trusted players' instincts and knew that they designed a game that was approachable for everyone. And it worked. Now let's compare those games that tried to recapture the spark that was Left 4 Dead. They all tried to recapture that spark, but they rely heavily on scripted events or predictable spawn patterns. The result? Less tension, more repetition. Even with better graphics, they lack the adaptive brilliance of the director. The one criticism that people often have with Back 4 Blood is it lacks pacing. Even with Back 4 Blood being a spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead, the game's AI director that they developed wasn't able to handle the pacing and the adaptability that the Left 4 Dead's director was able to implement in their games. With melee weapons being introduced into Left 4 Dead 2, it really set the standard on how they should feel in your game. Not only did the zombies fall in unique ways when you strike them with your weapons in Left 4 Dead 2, but every single weapon had multiple animations, so when you were using it, you didn't get bored. I expected the game advertising itself as a spiritual successor to the Left 4 Dead franchise to at least try to innovate more than their predecessors had. A complaint that people often have about GTFO is that it forces you into intense gameplay that not only relies heavily on scripted events, but eventually it becomes predictable. Over time, you're able to predict what is going to happen next. GTFO is known for its high difficulty, with many finding it's challenging to master the game's mechanics and level designs. The game relies heavily on trial and error, where players often have to sacrifice runs to learn about new levels. Left 4 Dead just allows you to hop on the game after a long day and shoot some zombies without having to overcomplicate things. And some people really appreciate that. Now, when I was researching this video, I came across a game called The Anacrusis. And this game was developed by former Left 4 Dead developers. It introduced the AI Director 2.0, aiming to recapture the dynamic experience, but ultimately fell short on a lot of aspects that players cared about. The enemies were bland and often repetitive. One of the core things about Left 4 Dead was how they changed the enemies and what they looked like based on the maps to keep it fresh.
In Left 4 Dead, players are constantly getting attacked by mobs of common infected and have lots of opportunities to view individual infecteds up close. By randomly selecting from a lot of small head textures packed in a single texture sheet, using random tint colors for clothing materials, and using random body groups for infected bodies, we could generate over 1500 different looks for common infected.
Not to mention, at the time, they hired a professional stuntman that was able to capture over 100 different dying animations from different angles to help them develop an incredible display of animation. And as someone who's been trying to teach themselves how to animate recently, primarily to increase the overall quality of my own content, I can really appreciate the time and effort that went into creating a lot of this game. Modding has not only kept this game alive, I think the way that Valve approaches modding is the best in gaming because they really want you to have fun and just keep games alive that you love through modding them. I think that Left 4 Dead 2 is a prime example of a game that, despite it being over 15 years old, is still alive and has a thriving modding scene that creates custom campaigns and even tries to convert the games through updating textures and using reshade mods, and just tries to make the game as they remembered it as a kid. That's the only way I can describe it, because when you were growing up and you played this game, it was the shit back then. Like, it looked amazing, and to be able to play this game now 15 years later and still enjoy it day in and day out. Not that I play it every day, but when I do play it, I hop on and it's immediately, I have a smile on my face and I just remember those good times. And I fucking love Left 4 Dead, dude. It is one of my favorite games of all time. Valve's commitment to creating a remarkable AI director that not only enhanced your experience, but ensured every session that you played ever felt unique, is unrivaled by most modern games. The director doesn't just spawn in enemies, it creates experiences. And in a world full of over-scripted shooters, that's more valuable than ever. And that's why we see such a success still when it comes to the numbers of the Left 4 Dead 2 community. Left 4 Dead 2's AI director remains a benchmark in dynamic game design, offering an experience that modern co-op games strive to emulate. Did the director ever throw something crazy at your way? Let me know your wildest Left 4 Dead 2 moments in the comments. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. We've got more breakdowns coming soon. This is the first of many games I want to break down. I really enjoyed making this video, and I hope you guys have an amazing day and stay safe, homies. I'll catch you in the next video.